2020 was not everyone's favorite year. During this year, we had exceptionally good music in rock, metal, alternative, industrial, indie, etc. But we also had some hot garbage that belongs in the collective dumpster fire of this year. So, this video is going to take a look at the top 5 worst albums in 2020. I apologize in advance for the terrible rant I may go on at the end, but some of these bands featured in this video did such a bad job with their latest releases that it's hard to stay silent. Yeah, it's that type of video. Sorry again. Rules for the list. Number 1, the album has to be somewhere in the field of rock, metal, alternative, indie, hardcore, industrial, etc. Rule number 2, no live albums, cover albums, parody albums, or EPs. This helps to narrow the playing field down a little bit. Number 3, I nor anyone else has heard every album that came out this year. So, if you think there is an album that is the worst of 2020 that's not on this list, leave a comment and let everyone know. And before we get to the list proper, I have one dishonorable mention. Danzig sings Elvis, a covers album that on paper sounds amazing. His voice is perfect for that. But Danzig made every wrong step on this laughably bad tribute album. He picked the slowest, least fun Elvis songs, and it all sounds like it was recorded with equipment from the 1970s. Inside a cave. Why did no one tell Danzig how bad everything was going while it was being made? That out of the way, you know how these videos work. Let's get to what I truly feel is the worst of 2020.
What about Trapped?
Who's Trapped? Number 5. It's unfortunate to see Five Finger Death Punch on another worst of the year list considering, number 1, Ivan Moody has been sober for years now trying to do better, and 2, F8 or Fate is a step up from the past albums, but Fate is the band trying to improve and do better, and all it did was expose every problem with Five Finger Death Punch. Monster energy chugging, drywall punching tropes are further cemented on something like this. It boils down to Ivan Moody not being able to write compelling or well-written music. This man is still desperately trying to prove to the world that he can beat you up after school. And after he's done screaming his head off about how much testosterone and Mountain Dew game fuel is running through his system, he writes songs complaining about how he's all alone and no one wants to be around him, including band members. Five Finger Death Punch did not rely on cover songs. Ivan Moody isn't literally phoning in vocal performances on an answering machine. Again, there was improvement, but that does not make an album automatically good. This is a group that at least used to have killer solos and riffs. Even that is vacant on Fate. F8. I still don't have a consensus on the proper album title, and honestly, I don't care. This is literally the exact same thing from the exact same band over and over again. 2020 was the year I saw many die-hard knuckleheads defend this album by screaming, "It's not as bad as the last one." That is a terrible defense for this band and album. Ivan Moody is showing he's out of ideas. The rest of the band is either going through the motions or jumping ship. The music is pandering, it's one note, there's barely any variety. Can we just finally admit that this band peaked years ago? I understand that Five Finger Death Punch has many fans who are angrily headbutting drywall and chugging Monster Energy in their senpai's honor. They love this, but when it takes 2 cans of Monster and a concussion to enjoy an album, something's wrong. Number 4. What in the world happened with Asking Alexandria? Back in 2019 when the violence dropped, people were either confused or flat out annoyed by the new style AA was leaning into. Then, more singles dropped and we all realized it wasn't a one-time thing. Like a House on Fire is an album that completely sets fire to Asking Alexandria's past. Time to jump on an over-processed digital fad. Take all that watered-down, badly produced pop rock beat boop nonsense and then add Danny Worsnop's current take on life, which was formerly screaming about anger and rebellion, but in 2020 is now, I hate my miserable life and I can't trust anyone, so no one should trust anyone. And also the classic, I tried to love once and it hurt me, so love doesn't exist for anyone anymore. On top of all the cynicism, which, I mean, it's 2020, you'd think that fit, the massive amount of badly produced backtracks and lazy guitar riffs and music behind Worsnop is a shell of what this band used to be capable of. They completely disregarded any type of craft or style they were known for in order to be seen as the next commercial rock band. It failed miserably too. At the end of the album, Danny Worsnop gives the line, "I don't care anymore." That weird level of entitled musician cynicism paired with what sounds like a Muse knockoff band, which is being generous, is not how Asking Alexandria should be known. I was cautious about Like a House on Fire going in because the singles do not do the group justice, and when I heard the album in full, it was a kick straight to my Manscaped apples. Keeping in mind that their previous album, When War Stop Returned, was solid. The group has degraded, though, into something like this, and that's crushing. I've been a fan of Asking Alexandria for years, and I'm not turning in my fan card, but I understand why so many others have. Danny Warstop and company have dived headfirst into commercial mainstream pop rock with flat-out miserable production, almost completely absent instruments, in place of beat boops, that is, and lots of bitter angst. Rock and roll, everyone. Number 3. For those who haven't been watching my channel for a long time, you may not be aware that I'm not a huge fan of trashcore, the bands like Attila, Emmure, etc. Even after Emmure's big lineup change a few years ago, meaning the entire band left Frankie behind, Emmure still did nothing for me, and this album Hindsight only cemented my logic of the biggest problem with Emmure. It's the man in front of the microphone that's causing Emmure to suck. Frankie cannot sing. He can't do harsh vocals well either. He cannot write a song. His lyrics are childish. Add that with less than mediocre bass lines, stock drumming, and terrible clashing low-note guitars, and you have Hindsight. And what's crazier? This album was a huge step up from their previous album. And that is embarrassing when an album like this is considered improvement. A bigger problem with Hindsight, however, is that while the album has a short runtime, there are some songs that sound almost identical to each other. You can't differentiate between anything. It's growling, machismo, scene posing for the sake of cashing in on a trashcore fad, and appealing to the anti-hygiene teenager scene kids who live for Cookie Monster growls and to scream, "You don't understand me, Mom!" when they don't get a raise in their allowance. When one of your big standouts on the album is a play on words with "I've seen God," wow, is that stupid, you really reveal yourself as a phony and a bad musician who is desperate for attention. I truly feel that the trashcore scene only defend an album like Hindsight because they've defended past albums from bands like Emmure and Attila and don't want to admit that they're wrong. Have a little hindsight of your own and realize that's not the best defense of any album. Hindsight, while short, is awful, terribly written, poorly executed. Everything from beginning to end sums up all the problems with Emmure that have always existed, but now it's so ingrained that there's no hope for something better. There are thousands of carbon copy trashcore bands like this. Leave Emmure in the past. Number 2. People can meme Five Finger Death Punch all they want, but even if Ivan Moody tries to be awful intentionally, he will never be as bad as Psychosexual. It's not even close. The fact that this album, Torch the Faith, isn't the worst album of 2020 is shocking. Jeremy Spencer, former Five Finger Death Punch drummer, has made his attempt at shock rock porncore. You know what? No, this doesn't deserve a genre classification because there isn't music behind any of this to really focus on. The main focus of anything on this album is just to be disgusting intentionally. Don't get me wrong, there is production value on this edgelord, semi-satanic cringe metal, but it's clear the songs are made to be edgy and shock people, and that's the only priority. Some of the song topics include kidnapping, religious brainwashing, rape, murder, and then going as far as killing women and having sex with corpses. Yeah, that's what you get in Psychosexual. It's not about making music, it's about making anthems for incels. It's rape rock. You know what? That's the genre that Psychosexual deserves to be titled with. This is rape rock. I'm not gonna flash lyrics on screen, this band doesn't even deserve it. Jeremy Spencer is a hack fraud and he thinks he's being hilarious. So funny that the band had to disable likes and dislikes on their music videos. Yeah, you must really love shocking people if you can't handle a thumbs down ratio. Song titles like Baby on Fire, Lips Turn Blue, it's all what you imagine. It's shock rock relying on extreme lyrics to hide that they don't know how to do more than 4 chords with bad vocals. And after the first listen, the shock doesn't even matter. It's just bad music. The spoiled kids that hang out behind the mall because they aren't welcome anywhere else, but they think they're cool for some reason, that's who Psychosexual and the album Torch the Faith is for. I've said for years, like what you like. It doesn't bother me if you like something I don't. This is the exception. If you willingly listen to Psychosexual and enjoy it, You are a loser. You are a disappointment to your family. You probably wonder why no one likes you and scream about how you hate women. You are the problem, not others. If you are a fan of psychosexual, you are a loser. Never forget I said that either. Oh. One of the best things to happen to Five Finger Death Punch is when this hack fraud left the band. And somehow, Torch the Faith still is not the worst album of the year. Set this baby on fire. Before we get to the worst album of 2020, please hit the like button below if you've been enjoying this video so far. It helps a ton to get this video pushed to non-subscribers when YouTube sees a video is liked by a lot of viewers. Thank you. Alright. What's the worst album in 2020? That is the weirdest accomplishment ever, but it had to happen. Number 1. It takes a lot for an album to actually offend me across the board, both in music quality and in subject matter. Theory of a Dead Man, or Theory as they prefer to be called now, offended me with how bad their 2020 album Say Nothing was. This was released back in January, and for the rest of this awful year, this was the negative measuring stick in where if I heard a bad album, I would ask, did I hate this more than Theory? Every time, the answer was no. It is shockingly, mind-numbingly, offensively bad. Even Theory fans, yes, they have many, have gone out and said this album crossed a few lines and didn't work at all. I'm not sure if it was a record producer that got in Theory's collective one shared brain, or if it was Connolly himself that thought the new direction of adult contemporary alternative was right, but either way, wow, it is not. Racism, domestic abuse, disease, the Charlottesville Massacre, Ted Bundy, all topics which the brain-dead chads of Theory try to get serious on. Using terrible hip-hop flow and bad writing with first-week guitar lesson chords, this is some of the blandest, laziest music I have heard in years. On every song, I honestly feel that this album is the band's attempt to sound inspirational and philosophical. These men should not be taken seriously about anything, especially about topics they know nothing about. My descriptions of song topics were accurate as well. One listened to songs like Ted Bundy and White Boy. You know what? No, you don't need to listen at all, actually, never mind. Just knowing that Theory made a song called White Boy is enough for you to know that it's not worth hearing on what they have to say. It's part cashing in on societal woes, part trying to sound smarter than they actually are, and part pandering to the more mature crowd who will think the music is automatically better if it's more mature than the trash Theory used to put out. Spoiler, it's still garbage. They cannot write music, and when they try to be serious, it's even more horrifying than Bad Girlfriend. If you were a Theory of a Dead Man fan back when Bad Girlfriend was big, and you're confused with these pseudo-intellectual modern problem songs, that means you are learning as a person. Good job. If you were never a fan of Theory and are disgusted by a trash album like this, good job, you have always had a working brain. Theory has devolved as a group of musicians. They went from slightly degrading butt rock to tone-deaf modern alternative with some really terrible messages they're trying to ham-fist to you. When your embarrassing existence stands out in a year like 2020, you messed up bad. Please, from now on, take your own advice and say nothing. And that was a look at some of the worst albums in 2020. What do you think was the worst album of the year? Leave a comment and let everyone know. Big thanks to my patrons and a special thanks to Brandon Barenfeld, Chris Doman, McKenna White, and Dom Smith. You can have a say in upcoming videos and see videos early by supporting Rocked on Patreon. Just $2 a month goes a long way. Click on the link in the video description for more info. Please subscribe and ring the bell to get notified on upcoming videos. You can check out my concert photography on Instagram, and you can keep up to date with Rocked on Facebook and Twitter.